On the eve of the League One season, it was looking like Wrexham were going into the League One season without any more signings before obviously the first game against Wycombe Wanderers, but we've been given a curveball today. We have seen a new transfer coming in, a new player joining the club, and a record signing fee for that player. You have heard those words correctly. We have broken our transfer record fee on midfielder Ollie Rathbone from fellow League One side Rotherham United. 928 days after we did last break our transfer record on Ollie Palmer, 928 days later, we have broken it on a new midfielder. Definitely wasn't the expectations. You know, the next signing, I did not expect it to be a midfielder. Today, it was very unexpected. We heard last night from a sports journalist that Wrexham were in advanced talks to sign John McElhenney. Now, I'm not going to ramble on this too much, but that was like that 5 minutes of excitement. Bolton Wanderers then swooped in, got his medical done, and now he's a Bolton Wanderers player. So we were very close from signing a player that I've admired for many years since he put one past us in the top corner in the playoffs. But McElhenney was not to be. We've moved on to a centre midfielder, which we've got across the line, Ollie Rathbone. He completed his medical today, did all the stuff that was needed. And before we get going in today's video, if you would like to see more Wrexham content on YouTube, this is the place to be. Transfer news, news on the club, general content regarding Wrexham going into this League One season will be on this channel, so make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. We are so close to hitting 25,000 subscribers. We're under 200 away, so could we hit that before, you know, the start of the League One season? It's very unlikely, but if you're new watching this and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so down below. And of course, let me know your thoughts on this signing in the comment section down below, and let's get talking about Ollie Rathbone. Now, a bit about Ollie Rathbone. He spent the early days of his career at Rochdale, where he really developed as a player and really turned into a regular for Rochdale in their midfield. He played 183 times in all competitions before, of course, getting that move up to Rotherham in the summer of 2021. And in the first season that Rathbone had at Rotherham United, he did achieve promotion and had a really successful season personally in and amongst a really good group of players at Rotherham United. And for Rochdale, you know, he was an ever-present in their midfield, recording 30 goals and assists across his spell at the Dale, although, you know, he's not that type of midfielder to go up playing that attacking role, get the goals, get the assists, but he chipped in with 30 goals and assists over the years that he was at Rochdale. And of course, as we've seen at Rotherham United, he's primarily used as that centre midfielder. We don't really see Rathbone playing in an advanced role going up the pitch. He just seems to be used in that centre midfield role, which has worked for Rotherham the last couple of seasons. Like I said, in his first season at the club, Ollie Rathbone did achieve promotion to the Championship, where he played an instrumental role in the Millers midfield, playing 52 games in all competitions, finishing with an average rating of 7.1 across the whole season and having 7 goals and assists to his name. So it's good to see he's done it before in League One. He's had a really successful season in and amongst, you know, some really good players, which I think is a reason why he could flourish at Wrexham. You know, he's with Rotherham in the Championship. You're not really looking at Rotherham when they're in the Championship to be a team that are going to assemble a really good squad that are going to push on, which is why I think, you know, Rathbone could be really good for us this season in League One. He's clearly a League One midfielder, and with, you know, what could be George Dobson alongside him, Elliot Lee playing in front of him, it could be Cannon, it could be Dobson, it could be James Jones, it could be George Evans, you name it. One of those will be playing alongside Ollie Rathbone this season. You know, we'll have two really good flat centre midfield duos going into this season, and we've really built the depth in that position. And adding Rathbone to this, you know, midfield department is just an even better bit of business by Parky. I was reading a bit about Rathbone, what the Rotherham fans had to say on his departure from the club. They've said he's been a very hard worker for them and performed really well when they were in League One. He wasn't really too good of late in the Championship, and a fresh start was definitely needed in his career. So I think there's no better place and no better project to do that than Wrexham. You know, getting Rathbone into the club, it's exciting. You want to be playing consistently in a really good team that's got a really good background history. You know, Wrexham filled with history, and of course you've got now the newer history coming into the club. You've got the documentary, you've got the takeover. We're aiming to create more history. I'm sure that was definitely a point as to why Rathbone did want to sign for the club. He wants to play a big role in taking this club continuously up the leagues, as we've seen the past couple of seasons. They described Rathbone as a player that always gave everything for the club, and by the comments we saw on the tweet that Rotherham put out about Rathbone's departure, it seems to be that they're disappointed but happy for him, because, you know, he's been such a good servant to the club, and a new challenge and a fresh start will do in the world of good. And I've previously, you know, stated on Rathbone's promotion winning season at Rotherham from League One to the Championship, League One of course being the league Wrexham are going into tomorrow. Looking at his stats from that season, 265 ball recoveries, 876 successful passes, 6 goals and assists, and 39 games started, and I think it was just over 3,000 minutes played across the whole season. So, you know, he's a player, you know, I can imagine he's going to be quite tenacious in that midfield. Ball recoveries, he's going to be a workaholic in that midfield. Successful passes, he wants to get on the ball, release those passes. I think he was in the, you know, the top percentile for long balls. So, you know, he's definitely a player that's got a good range of passing, will give everything in that midfield, and of course will run his socks off for 90 minutes. But I think that's the perfect word to describe Ollie Rathbone as what we can expect from Wrexham fans, a workaholic in that midfield for us. It's a bit like a James Jones type player, I can imagine. You know, James Jones is the type of player that strikes me that could play 180 minutes all at once. So I can imagine we can expect the same from Ollie Rathbone. He's 27 years old, so he's in the peak of his career now. He's obviously got that experience under his belt playing for Rotherham and all those years at Rochdale as well. So, but in terms of football career, he's still relatively young, but he's a player that has gained a wealth of experience, of course, getting that promotion with Rotherham United and playing all those years with Rochdale in League One. So he's got that experience in League One. He knows the league inside out, and this is, you know, a bit of business that is very logical and one that I can get behind from Phil Parkinson and co. Yeah, and on the topic of, you know, midfield duos, what we can expect from Rathbone, I definitely think a lot of Wrexham fans can agree with me watching this. We were not expecting yet another midfielder to join the club. We'd obviously had the news of McAtee, that sort of, you know, put our indications on the fact that Wrexham are getting that striker across the line before Saturday, but it's not going to be the case. I'm sure Parky has got one in the pipeline, you know, waiting to get that striker across the line. But here we are, we've got a centre midfielder in, which only boosts the ranks in the midfield. You know, we have got incredible depth going into this season. Just to, you know, name the midfield options: Andy Cannon, George Evans, George Dobson, Ollie Rathbone, James Jones, and possibly Tom O'Connor if we need him to play there. That midfield is stacked, and to think, you know, that some of these players will be on the bench this season is just mind-boggling. There is so much quality in there, and we're building, you know, really good depth in that midfield. As we look to, you know, face a challenge this season in League One, there's many other teams that have had really good transfer windows. I could sit here and say, you know, Wrexham have had the best transfer window, this and that, and be biased, but logically, I think we've had a really good transfer window and we should be up there. You know, I know these transfer windows aren't going to win us leagues, etc., but we're bringing in those players, and I think, you know, the business we've done has been really logical and one that I can get behind, and we've pulled off some really, really good experienced players joining the club. Dan Scarr, Ollie Rathbone, you know, they've recently gained promotion to the Championship, so they've got that experience in League One, and you're injecting that bit of youth in there as well. Sebastian Revan coming in, so I think this has been a really good transfer window from Phil Parkinson, by far the best we've seen at the football club yet. Of course, you expect that when you go up the leagues, and of course we're at the highest point we've been at since the takeover, so, you know, I'm really happy to see these players being brought in. They've got that experience under their belt, and of course we're looking at Ollie Rathbone now, a club record signing from one Ollie to another. We're expecting big things from Rathbone going into this season. Of course, we don't like to pile a lot of pressure on, but it's a club record signing. He's been consistent, you know, for the past 6-7 seasons in playing 35 plus games, so, you know, he's going to play a big role in this side, and hopefully he can add extra quality to the midfield. And like I touched upon, a new striker is definitely needed, I think, going, you know, into this season. It's not going to happen, of course, before Wycombe. Rathbone will not be included in the matchday squad tomorrow against Wycombe, which is understandable. He's only been at the club for a couple of hours, so on a striker, could we get one in before Sheffield United in the Carabao Cup? I think there's definitely that possibility. I think if it's a loan move, it will of course be a lot more straightforward, which I do think it will be. There's rumours of Will Lancashire joining the club that are resurfacing on social media, so that would be an incredible signing. Cadamarchi now, it looks like Sheffield United are looking to keep him, which is definitely a strange situation regarding the stance they did have at the start of the transfer window, saying they wanted to loan out Cadamarchi, so interesting situation there, one to keep your eye on. But it's definitely looking like Wrexham will only bring a loan striker into the club. Now, I think a permanent one is possible, but there's definitely a double decent chance that we do bring in a lone striker, whether it be from a Premier League side or a Championship side. Expect a new striker to come in very, very soon. So yeah, and of course, on the topic of transfer news, we're going to be moving on to the new contracts. James McLean and Andy Cannon have both put pen to paper, signed new contracts for Wrexham. McLean is definitely one I was surprised at. In my opinion, I thought, you know, he's going to see out this season for Wrexham and possibly, you know, go back to Derry City, where he did have a successful stint earlier on in his career. But he's put pen to paper for 2 years at Wrexham, which will see him, of course, stay at the club until he's 37. But we know James McLean is a fitness freak, so I'm sure we'll see the best of McLean, you know, now and then the final year of his contract. So, you know, good to see Cannon as well put pen to paper. And of course, Jordan Davis heads out on loan to League Two side Grimsby Town, which we all expected. We wish him the best of luck. He's under Dave Artell, our former defender, so I'm sure he'll love to develop him as a player and get the best out of him again. So we wish the best of luck to Jordan Davis up north at Grimsby. So yeah, that is it for today's video. What do you think of the signing of Ollie Rathbone? Of course, smashing what we expect to be our transfer record fee. In my opinion, we're probably looking at $500,000. Probably just under that, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think a new midfielder was needed? I'll read all of them. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. Bring on the League Two season. We're less than 24 hours away. I cannot wait to be in that tech end. You know, brilliant atmosphere. Our first game back in League One since 2005, so really looking forward to that. Up the town.